All right, hello everybody. Zaxtor99 back again with my fourth video in my what if videos that I call What If Q.T.M.Y.G.H, which stands for questions that make you go Now my purpose of this series of videos is to ask you guys, my viewers, questions that maybe you've never thought about before. Questions a little bit harder, a little bit deeper than your average typical question, like, how tall are you, or how old are you, or whatever. Questions that make you think about who you are, and or think about, whatever the question is. Maybe it's not always who you are. Could be about, your thought process, or what you like, or anything. But my purpose here is to make you think about things in your life and yourself, and questions that make you dig a little bit deeper to come up with an honest answer. So in my third video, and my third question to you guys, my viewers, was this. If your entire life, whether it be 20 years, whether you're 20 years old or whether you're 60 or 80 years old, if your entire life was to be a live stream or a video for other people to watch, it's a long video to watch. To ask somebody to watch a 40 or a 50 or a 60-year video to see who you are, most people probably wouldn't do that, even if you've had a pretty entertaining life. So I asked you guys, my viewers, to give me a time or a day or even a moment that would best highlight who you are. Maybe your best day, maybe just a day that's just unforgettable for you. A highlight moment in your life that really shows you, or something really pleasurable to you, something really happy, maybe a happy moment in your life, whatever it is. It might even be a dark moment, but whatever it is, what would that highlight moment show other people? And I really had some good answers to this question. Again, I'm not getting a whole lot of people comment and answer these questions yet. Hopefully that will change as I continue to make more of these videos. But let's go ahead and go back to the first day that I answered this question. We had Rock and Roll, a regular viewer and subscriber here. Rock and Roll 0123. Rock and Roll answered, I would have to say it's when I adopted my late fiance's 6-year-old son, Jeremy. His birth father had died in Afghanistan. Oh man, that's so sad. And his fiance's parents were extremely happy. And so was Jenny, who is my fiance. So his fiance was also extremely happy that he accepted her son, who was 6 at the time. So this is really, kind of about dating. When you get older and you're not dating, another teenager anymore or whatever, a lot of times you meet somebody, especially for men, they meet a woman who already has a child or already has more than one child. And if you're really interested in that person, you kind of have to accept them as a package deal. If you want to be a part of their life, if you want to marry them, if you want to sleep with them, everything that comes with, going all the way as far as accepting who they are, it's not just them. You have to accept the fact they have kids, which means that those kids are going to be a part of your life as well. And you need to kind of treat those kids as your own. You need to accept them for who they are and a part of the person you're dating. So that's exactly what it sounds like Rock and Roll here did. He met his fiance, and when he met her, she had a 6-year-old son, and he kind of had to adopt him in as his own because his father, the boy's father, had died in Afghanistan. So when he did accept this boy in as his own child into his life, it made his fiance and her parents really happy. And he might have been a little bit, it was a big decision for him, obviously. Does he accept this woman with this kid? Or does he go out and look for a woman that doesn't have any kids, where he'd have more freedom and they could do whatever they wanted more? And, he wouldn't have to spend as much money, maybe. It is a really big decision to take that kind of sacrifice for a woman that you like. And not Jeremy, but Rock and Roll here says that he's really happy that he made that decision now because Jeremy's now 12 years old and a big source of his very own happiness. So he says, that's the type of person I am. If somebody needs my help, if I can help, I will help. You know, that really shows a lot about who you are, rock and roll, and the type of person you are. And I really love that answer. So, you know, if I'm asking these questions and you guys, my viewers, are answering questions, I think I can learn a lot about you guys, my viewers, by just looking at the type of answers you give to these questions. So really, thanks a lot for that, you know, really insightful answer there, rock and roll. I appreciate it. It was a very good answer, I think. And a new viewer that I don't think I've ever seen on my channel before, Tyroline. Welcome to my channel, Tyroline. He answers, my moment that would be a highlight would be the day I met my wife. Hey, I know that sounds cheesy, but I know without her, I literally would be nothing. She has been the best thing to ever happen to me in a time in my life where everything was really messed up. And she kept me going. And there is nothing better than that to me. You know, I don't think that's cheesy at all, Tyroline. I think that's a great answer. And I know for a lot of people, you know, their highlight moment would be the time they met their soulmate, if you would. The person that maybe changed their world around. Whatever dark times they were going through, you know, somebody comes down, they meet that special someone, and they're like a God-sent angel, you know, that comes down to earth and just not only loves you for who you are, but can help pick you up when you need it the most. And that's why I really like that answer, and I'm glad that happened for you, bud. Thanks so much for your answer, and I think that's an amazing answer. I don't think it's cheesy at all, and I'm glad that you and your wife are both very happy now. Sarah Bailey, a regular viewer and commenter on these questions as well, we've seen, answers that she used to work at a rehabilitation and nursing center as a recreational therapy director. She mentions that they had a gentleman who was at the end of their life. He had no family and he had no friends to be there for him as he passed on. Man, I don't know how you did that, Sarah. I don't know how anybody that works at a nursing home can do it. I know that I've been in a couple of nursing homes in my life, and to me, those are the saddest places ever. The first time I ever went into a nursing home, you know, years ago, I know it brought tears to my eyes. You know, I walked into the nursing home all fine and not expecting that much. But when I walked in and I saw all those, you know, frail old faces just sitting there with looks of depression and boredom and maybe pain on their faces, and no family or loved ones, you know, it put tears in my eyes just because I didn't even know anybody in that nursing home the first time I went in one. It was to actually deliver newspapers on a paper route. And I can't even tell you how sad it is. At least the nursing home I went into, I just found it extremely sad, and I don't know how somebody like does something like Sarah mentions here, sitting by somebody's bedside and getting emotionally close to someone who's dying. I think that would be really hard to get close to somebody like that, you know, when they have no family and friends and their last days on earth or months or whatever, and you spend that time with them, talking to them, getting to know them, knowing that when they die, it's going to absolutely crush you. You're stronger than I am, Sarah. I got to say that. So again, we're getting to know Sarah as well. I mean, look at what she did. I think that takes a very unselfish type of person. Much like, you know, rock and roll mentioned, a very unselfish type of person to accept, you know, a 6-year-old boy into your life who lost his father. Man, there's some really unselfish people that watch and chime in on these videos. I got to say that. Anyway, this old man had no family, no friends to be there for him as his final days or months. And Sarah says that she would sit with him. Not only sit with him, but read and sing to him and play his favorite music. Not her favorite music, but his favorite music. Do you know how much of a person that takes? And she would stay next to his bed 99% of her 8 or 9 hour shift every day. It wasn't my job and nor was it a requirement to be there that long, she mentions. But he needed somebody, and I volunteered. I sat with many that crossed over during my 8 years working there. But him, that man, would definitely be my defining highlight. So I think it's interesting that Sarah mentions something really sad, where the other two mentioned really happy moments, or moments that turned into really happy times or happy decisions for them. Sarah mentions a really, a dark time as her highlight and defining moment of her life, because she really got close to somebody. And, it really shows the kind of person that she is as well. And that's exactly why I'm asking you guys, my viewers, these type of questions. I think it's a little bit harder questions to answer, but the questions can definitely give you a lot of more insight, not only into your own life when you answer them yourself or when you put them on a comment, but also the questions, definitely can give other people a bigger insight into who you are as a person. I like that answer, Sarah. I like all three of these answers a whole lot. All right, so if I answer my own question for you guys here in this video, probably the highlight video, the highlight moment of my life, and although some people might think this is an easy or a cop-out type of question, but no. If you guys have watched a lot of my videos or seen me play games, you'll know how close I am to my own son. He's 13 now. But the moment, the time my son was born, those moments right after would probably be the highlight video that I would say best defines who I am. One of the happiest moments for me. And this wasn't an easy question. I mean, because you have the moment, where I met my wife. And I also have other kids. I have my daughter, who, much like rock and roll, I kind of adopted and took in because she didn't have a father. When I met my wife, she barely turned 2 years old when I met my wife. And so I took her in as my own as I continued to date my wife. Because much like rock and roll said, she didn't have a father. It was kind of a bar moment when my wife got impregnated with his child, and he just chose not to be in the picture at all. He knew about it, but he chose to run rather than being that father figure. No child support, nothing like that was ever paid by him. Though my wife went after him for child support, anytime they found him to try to collect any child support, he would just quit and move. Yeah. But, a lot of information there. But I took her daughter in as my own when I got married to her, and even when I moved in with her, when we moved into our own house together and all that. But I also remember I also have an older daughter that I never married her mother. And I have a video of her wedding a few years ago on my channel here. And my daughter now is 25 years old. So, I was really young then. But my son's birth would probably be my highlight video, because for the other two kids, I wasn't there when they were born. I didn't see my first daughter until a week after she was born, because we lived across the state from each other and I was working, and she didn't tell me, immediately when she was going in. I didn't get word of it until later that night, things like that. So I had no way to be there, when my first child was born. And then, of course, I wasn't there, with the daughter that I took in when I met my wife. So my son is the only child I was there for. And he's also some of the most vivid moments I remember in my entire life. I remember emotions that I had. I remember holding my wife's hand, as she was giving birth and trying to keep her calm. And she did a fantastic job, by the way, giving birth to our son. But I can't even explain to you how amazing it feels to be there in those moments of birth And then first thing, hold your baby, hold that little baby in your hands and realize that this is part of you. This is who you are. You and whoever, you conceive the child with. This child is part of you and them. And you're there in that moment, the very first second they're born. And you're holding them in your hands. It's a feeling that I can't even explain. It's a feeling of joy, pride, happiness. It's amazing. And a lot of people would be like, well, why wouldn't your moment be like when you met your wife who gave you that son? And I'm going to explain that answer like this. Obviously my wife means a whole lot to me, and that's a big moment for me when I met her. However, as I've aged, I really believe, a lot of people spend their life and they date all over the place, and they date far and wide, and they date a bunch of different people, and they go through all kinds of breakups and all these things. And they spend so many years looking for, the person that, is going to be the love of their life. I honestly believe that people's true love is best defined by a child. Because with a child, the way you love your own kids is so much more than you even love your spouse, at least in my experience. So for example, I hate to say it, but I want to know, if you guys are watching this video, let me know if you guys understand what I'm saying and if you agree. So, if my wife and I were walking across the street, or she was walking across a busy street before me, and a car was about to hit her, right? Yeah, I would probably run out in front and try to push her out of the way and take the hit for her. Because she's my wife and I love her. I care about her. But notice how I said probably. I'm not 100% certain that I would make that move. Because if I run out in front of that car, she might still get hit, and I might get hit too. We might both die, right? It's just something that can happen. But there would be a half a second of thought before I made that move. And that half a second of thought of, should I not? What am I doing? What am I going to do? That half a second of delay thinking about it might be the half a second I would need to save her life and time. With a child, I can say without a doubt, there is no doubt in my mind that, God, especially when I look at my son, especially in his younger years, if I'm watching him, I'm out in the front yard and we're playing or whatever, and he kicks the ball out in the road and runs out after that ball, and a speeding teenager, in a car is jetting right towards my son, there's not even that half a second or a fraction of a second thought what I do. Without even thinking about it, I am jumping as fast and hard as I can to push him out of the way to try to save his life. Even meaning, if I die, if I'm putting myself right in front of that car for just a chance to save him. There's no split second of thought about it. It just happens. And that is the difference, I think, between a child and, a partner in your life, a spouse or a girlfriend or fiance or a boyfriend or whatever. To me, there's no greater love than the love a parent has for their own kids. And I think kids, obviously love their parents a whole lot, but it's just not the same. The love I have for my own parents is really, really strong. Don't get me wrong, and they've been there for me, and they've raised me and everything like that. But then you don't understand real love, I don't think, until you have your own kids. But I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Let me know if you guys kind of understand what I'm saying with this and why I would choose my son, who I had that those moments of being there for, him, or being there as he was born and holding him that first time. I remember the joy and the pride and the tears of happiness falling that first time I held him. And I also remember things like right after that, they have to give him shots. And I remember them giving him shots like down in his teeny little feet. I mean, those feet were so small and his skin was so soft, and they take him and they clean him up first thing. But then after they let you hold him for a couple of minutes and bond like that, they take him away. They're like, hey, we got to give him, a couple of shots or whatever. And I still remember them, and I'm right there. And I remember them putting that needle down in that delicate little teeny foot and watching that. And then hearing his scream of pain. He just was born, for F's sake. He's just been born into this world. And now you're sticking a damn needle in his foot. What's wrong with you? I wanted to deck that nurse. I wanted to punch her. It took everything I could to hold back and just maybe not punch the nurse, but it took everything I had to keep from just grabbing my son and be like, give me him, he's mine, leave him alone. I still remember those moments, like right after he was born. And like I said, if you haven't ever had your kid, you're probably listening to me thinking, oh my God, Zaxter, you're freaking crazy. But I'm betting that if you have your own kids and you were there, like the moments they gave him his first shot or whatever, and then hearing them cry, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, that would definitely have to be probably the moment that I would put on a highlight. Especially if that highlight video could somehow show my feelings at the time, my happiness, my joy. And it probably would, because if you saw that video and you saw my smiling face and tears and how attached I was in those very first moments of my child's life, my son's life, then yeah, you would definitely see how happy and proud I was in those moments. I love all my kids. I love my wife. I love my parents. I love my whole family. But yeah, I think that would be my one highlight video of my life, would be my son's birth and the moments right after he was born. All right, so let's go ahead and get on to my next question for you guys, my viewers. This will be question number 4. And if I don't, I know that I could sit here and talk about my son for hours. And I know you guys don't want to listen to me yapping for a really long time. This is already going to be kind of a longer video, probably the longest one I've made yet. So question number 4 for you guys is, I think, a fun one. A question that you guys can kind of ponder over the weekend and come up with something really good. So to give you guys this question, I want to go ahead and talk about, when I was a kid, 30, 35 years ago in grade school, I remember them telling us about how in the future we would have, like vehicles that would drive themselves. Nobody would drive cars anymore in the future. Cars would be so automated, we could just get in, and eat and drink and tell the car where we wanted to go. And the car would, take us to that location. No more crashes, no more accidents, no more drunk drivers. Boy, what a world that would be. Everything completely automated. The only question I have about that is, what if there was a bug in the programming of those cars? Boy, could you imagine the pileups? Ouch. I remember another thing they talked about when I was a kid that we'd all have, that our kids would have in the year 2020, is you may not even have to drive. Maybe those automated cars would be really expensive. But we'd have jetpacks, and all the kids would use a jetpack to not have to ride the bus anymore. Kids just flying through the air and flying to school. And that one's kind of funny, because I remember hearing this and thinking about it now. Could you imagine putting a 5 or 6-year-old kid on a jetpack and saying, "Bye, honey," and having them fly to school? Oh my God, most kids would probably be terrified of those heights. Could you imagine a 5-year-old kid flying over the city on a jetpack, not knowing where the hell this thing's taking him? Oh my God, you'd have a bunch of screaming kids. I could imagine every morning waking up and hearing just tons of kids fly over my house. Ah! Every kid being jetpacked to school. Thankfully, we don't have jetpacks yet. We don't have kids being jetpacked to school every day. But that is one of the things I remember being told that we would have. I think by the year 2020, jetpacks would be a thing. Obviously, that's not an everyday product nowadays. So that leads me to my fourth question for you guys. A question I hope you guys have fun with. Be creative with this one, but really use your thought as well. And try to think of a product. If you could design and develop a product, not for profit. Let's not even put profit in this equation, in this question. We're not trying to create a product that's going to make you the most money. No, we're trying to create a product that you think the world really needs. Something that you think people the world over could really benefit from if only this device or this product existed. Whatever it is. So, maybe your idea or product is, hey, rather than jetpacks, maybe you're thinking of a teleporter. You really miss your family on the other side of the country where you live, or the other side of the world. And imagine if you could create a teleporter that would instantly teleport you to anywhere in the world. Kind of like the video games, where you walk into a certain area, or you walk into a certain little device on your screen, and it teleports you to another teleporter on the other side of the virtual world in the game. A teleporter in real life could teleport you anywhere you want to go, instantly, immediately, as often as you wanted. Wow, you could save a lot of time, couldn't you? You wouldn't have to fly or drive to go see your uncle on the other side of the country. You could just walk into the teleporter and be instantly there and give your uncle or dear old dad or, your long distance relationship a big old hug. Wouldn't that be nice? Maybe your product, though, would be something completely different. Maybe you love amazing food, and maybe you would create a product that is designed with the best technology and the best recipes in the entire world for everything. And you could change it and modify those recipes to your own liking. So you could create a product for your kitchen that would instantly create whatever you wanted. You put in, spaghetti and meatballs, and that product, makes spaghetti and meatballs for you, and bing, whatever you want, anytime. Whatever food, made with, love and care, and absolutely delicious, whatever you choose. Wouldn't that be a nice device? That's just a couple of random ideas on the top of my head. But I want you guys to get down and dirty and give me even better products. Things that you put a little bit of thought into. Have fun with it. And give me a product that you think the world needs. Something that hasn't been invented yet. Something that's not available. That you think people could definitely benefit from. What would that product be? Be sure you describe, the features of the product and how it works. And why you think that product would be better than anything else you could possibly think of. Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure you have fun with this one, guys. Ponder this one over the weekend, and I look forward to reading your answers come Monday when I do video number 5 of What If Q.T.M.Y.G.H. Questions that make you go, This has been Zaxtor99. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. This has been Zaxtor99. Be sure you have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure you rate my video. And if you guys haven't checked out my Twitch channel yet, where I do my live streams, definitely go over and check my Twitch channel. I'll have the link down in the description below. Love you guys all. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. Take care.